everybody. My name's Lee. That was Taro. Thank you so much for all your amazing work putting this event together. We have not only a fabulous group of people, they're really good looking too. And that makes it so much more interesting. So what I'm going to do without delay is I'm going to bring them all out and introduce them as they come take their seats. Come on out, good looking gang of folks. Here we go. Bum, bada, bum, bada, bum, bada, bum, bada, bum, bum. Here they come. Grab a seat. So, just any seat. Here, you sit next to me. So here's the thing. This is called Rebranding and Investing in Your Career, which I don't know why I feel like we're on Bonanza when I hear those words. So it's like a Bonanza theme. And so all of these people have different areas of expertise, but what they have in common with you, what we all have in common is we all own our own business. Am I right? We are in the business of us. So each of these people has a business that's partially about helping us do our business better. So I'm going to start, well, maybe not him, because he's just too good looking. This is the fabulous Benny Martinez, who spent 6 years on The Shield playing David Acevedo. He is currently just finished filming a film that he loves in his native New Mexico called Bless Me Ultima. Is that how you say it? And he's now, you're still recurring on Sons of Anarchy. So please welcome Mr. Martinez. This lovely lady right here is Deborah Mellman, and she has a group called Mindful Media Consultants, or Mindful Media Group, and I just love the name. I don't even know what they do exactly, but no. She's a publicist and consulting and marketing, helping people in that regard. This is Lisa Berman, who is the co-founder, would we call it? Co-founder of Berman Sachs, which is a talent agency. She spent 5 years as an agent and has spent the last 20 years being a manager. So she certainly knows that whole side of the business. Next to me is the fabulous Pam Dixon, casting director. I do the orientation for the new members, and I always say this is the town of enormous vicissitudes. Don't be upset or sad if you only get to the assistant, to the casting director, because 6 months from now they're the head of talent at William Morris. Then they're, saying, would you like fries or Caesar salad a year after that? And then they're the head of development at Warner Brothers. Well, Pam is that person. She started out within 6 months. She became the head of casting at CBS Television, ABC, and I thought CBS first. I started at CBS, and then went on to ABC, and now has her own business and is casting a new film called Burden. And these adorable people over here are Jodie, Bentley, and Kevin Urban. They have something called the Savvy Actor, as well as being performers, and they're going to tell you a little bit about what that is, which has to do exactly with what we're talking about today, which is rebranding and reinvesting and being on Bonanza. So why don't we start with you guys and tell us what is this whole concept, this branding thing?
Where do we want to start?
With the microphone. Start with the microphone.
Well, we're from New York, so we always like to...
Yes, but we're filming.
I know. I'm just teasing. Touche.
No need to project.
So basically, when it comes to what we do as a company, is we help actors define themselves for themselves so that they can go out into the business and take ownership of what they do. Because ultimately what we want to do is help you guys find work and give you direction.
I think what happens a lot as actors is we try to please a lot of people in the industry. Oh, I can do that, I can do this, I could do that too. And then we spread ourselves too thin and we vanilla ourselves down. And we don't let people really see who we are. And when we're talking about branding, branding is your essence. It's who you are at your core. And you have to let people see that. That's what casting directors want. That's what directors want. They want to be able to see you. And that's what we help people do, is define that and help you create a business plan to implement that, market that, and give you a strategy behind it.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question. Go for it. Now, granted, I grew up when you dialed a phone like this, so I'm really old. But, back in my day when I was coming up, you went in, you did a really good audition, and maybe you got the part. So what's different now?
Well, I think there's a lot more of us out there now. That's one. In terms of the competition is greater.
But aren't there correspondingly then more markets? This is a day and age where there are so many outlets and ability. Anybody with a camera and $1.49 can make a movie. I mean, aren't there a proportionate number more places to show your wares, so to speak?
I mean, there are, in terms of Twitter, in terms of Facebook, in terms of the social
Vimeo.
media, in terms of creating opportunities for yourself. Absolutely. But ultimately what we need to do is to identify, okay, well, where are we going to put our foot in the door? What are we going to start off with? And there are opportunities, but how much of them are actually, paying a lot right now, right? So what we want to do is we want to find the opportunities that pay you money so that you can pay your rent, pay your bills, and be a working actor. Because that's ultimately what this is all about, too. If you can identify what you are special in, and basically branding is being a specialist in something, if you can understand what your unique strengths are as an individual, you can package the hell out of that, and then you can go sell it. And that's ultimately what we're looking to do. It's hard to make decisions about yourself without, because a lot of times, I don't know about you guys, but how many of you feel like you're guessing in this business? Okay, a lot of hands went up. Okay? Because we're trying to do a lot. Because we love what we do. Okay? Because we're also actors too. We get it. It's like, boom, we love this. But really what we want to do is get you focused, get you to have an idea so you're not guessing. We want to get you a strategy so that you can put faith in that strategy to help you find the work that you're absolutely right for.
Well, let me ask Pam, because you've been in the business a while. What do you see as the difference between actors starting out 20 or 30 years ago and what you're finding now? How has it changed for you as a casting person?
Well, I think one of the main things is that the first step is no longer coming in to meet me. The first step is probably sending me something, which is either a resume, a picture, something from YouTube, your reel, all of which you've put together without any input probably from me. So what happens is we kind of now lack any real personal relationship when I'm first looking at you. And there's good and bad to that, because sometimes what you're putting together is not always right, because you have to think about what your type is, and then you have to try to brand yourself, which is basically what qualities do you have that put you above somebody else. And if you guess wrong and you send that to me and I'm looking for a very specific thing in a role, then you may not come in. As opposed to, say, 15 years ago, people would send me their pictures of resumes and we would have all these general meetings. We didn't have any other way to meet you. So then what we got is we really got your essence personally. Now it's your job to try to get your essence to all the casting directors through whatever you're sending or whatever you're directing us to.
Do you think that's done through having a variety of different things to showcase yourself with? Like, here's a minute and a half of comedy, here's a minute and a half of drama, here I am crying, here I am being sexy. I mean, is it like that kind of, you want to see, pick which one to send?
I think you have to be careful, because when you're branding yourself, the thing you don't want to do is try to show you can do everything. Because that doesn't, the whole thing about branding, in my opinion, and these two are probably more specialized than I am in the term, but it's really showing why you're different from somebody else I'm looking at. So, and I think you have to be very honest in this evaluation, because if you're not honest and then I bring you in and these qualities are not correct, that's a disservice to you. So I think it takes a lot of work to really think about what sets you apart from somebody else. Are you funny? And can you send me a comedy and a dramatic reel at the same time? Yes, but at the same point, if I'm doing a comedy, why would you do that? You would want to sell yourself as a comedic actor. So I think the other thing that's important is to know what I'm looking for, and that's via probably the breakdown services, which I know all of you are familiar with, because on the breakdown services...
And half of you get...
Well, I can't answer to that. But the thing that's interesting about the breakdown services, if you look at the roles, they're broken down in your qualities. It's age range. Are you preppy? Do you have a certain sense of humor? Are you ethnic? That's what it is. So when you submit, you should try to submit exactly what that particular person is looking for, which also means every time you submit for a different thing, you may have to redo what you're sending. And I think that's part of how you can sell yourself and sell yourself well.
I think you mentioned it's basically targeting. I mean,
Yes.
That's really specific targeting of your message. And that's what any marketing company does. They target the message to the audience. I think you made an awesome point on that.
So
yeah, I think it's just like if you go to the Apple store, the reason why you're going to the Apple store isn't because you're buying an Apple brand necessarily. What they're selling you is the experience of getting an iPhone. And that's kind of how you have to think of yourselves, is that you need to sell me the experience of you, not that you're just an actor. Because there are many phones, there are many actors. But what's the experience I'm going to have that's special with you?
So, Benny, do you relate to all this newfangled stuff?
No. It's fascinating hearing what you're saying. I think you're absolutely right. I love the analogy of comparing it to an iPhone. When I got into this business, my background is theater, and I did 10 years of stage at LATC and working with theater groups, and I worked in a Shakespeare theater company and another theater company. We wrote our own pieces. But along the way, for me, I went to a drama school and I learned fight choreography, fencing and broadswords and all that stuff. And in working with one of the theater companies, I was working with an actress and I was training her for a fight for one of the plays. And she said, you know, it's really good what you're doing. You're very patient and you're showing all the steps and everything else. She goes, I know somebody who's a fight choreographer. He could probably use an assistant. Why don't you give him a call? And to his credit, I called him. And he was very polite and very kind. I'm not going to give his name, but he said, how did you get my number? I said, I worked with an actress that knows you, and I wanted to maybe explore doing fight choreography. And he said, well, I'm an actor, but she only knows me as a fight choreographer. And what happens to me now, this being him, he said he would go to a show to do fight choreography, and he's wondering how come they didn't call me in? Why didn't they call me in for this part or this role or anything else? I could have done this. He says, so I suggest to you that you put down the sword and don't tell anybody that you're a choreographer. Of course, use it, but don't tell people that you are. And that was what my biggest lesson about branding, because I don't want to be everything to everyone. I want them to know me as an actor. I have this huge collection of tools, and I can focus on any one of them. I ride horses, an archer, all these other things. But I need to let them know me, the actor, first. And that was a huge lesson for me that I've carried to this day about branding and how I want to present myself and to be honest with who I am in the moment.
And now, Deborah, you come from a place of people come to you, maybe you have some ongoing clients, but a lot of times people seek a publicist when something hot is happening in their career, they're having a breakthrough. What is your experience from this aspect we're talking about?
It parlays also into PR too. It's important to keep that message the same, even when writing a biography. How your publicist presents you to the media, to the masses. Are you seen as an actor? I have clients that, will dabble in writing a little bit. Well, should I put it out there that I'm a writer also? And I always tell them not to. You should have everyone see you just as an actor and to stick with that. I think that's very important. With your biography, let's say, which is something a little bit more than your resume, that also gives you the opportunity to talk about what you're like as a person. So even if it's something that sounds even a little cheesy, but even at the last paragraph, you like to spend the weekends hanging out with your dog at the beach. Something like that can even just make a connection with a writer. Someone hangs out at the beach with their dog too. But it gives you the opportunity to be a little bit more of a person, but you still have to make sure to be aware of what the messages you're putting out there as talent at the same time.
And do you ever have people you have to sort of fight them to get what you want, or
Of course. And I think what you do is you try to barter as a publicist. Maybe you have a bigger name or someone that you represent. You try to package people together the same way that I would say an agent would probably package things together, or a manager would. And when you have that opportunity, maybe you have an Emmy nomination. I had a client that came to me who was in an Emmy-nominated commercial, and she was able to go to the Creative Emmy Awards. We made that a huge event. We got her a dress, got her jewelry, the handbag, did the red carpet, and maybe for that moment it was her 15 minutes, but we kept that momentum going even after that, and we established relationships with her. And even if it's just knowing a photographer on the red carpet, that every time they see you, they smile and they take your picture, then everybody else will take your picture because they think they're missing out on someone else getting something that they're not. So it's about all of that. And really, no matter how small you are, you can start building that part of your career, and putting your best foot forward. Another part of it too, you're talking about maybe headshots and photos and things like that. for what I do, sometimes the headshot is a little too plain. Sometimes I need something a little bit more fashion looking or a little bit more creative looking. So you do have that opportunity with public relations to sort of show yourself and show your colors a little bit more. I think that's also an opportunity for you.
Now, Lisa, you spent a long time being a manager and you switched over to agenting. Why?
I was tired of dealing with agents. So I just became one. I'm an attorney. I used to be the attorney for SAG as well. So I wear a lot of hats.
And so what have you found in this new day and age of all the clients that you're representing? What do you talk to them about in terms of marketing themselves?
What we do, and I think I've heard it a couple times in the panel, so I talk about a toolkit to my talent. And so in our toolkit, we have to have photos, exceptional photos. And I have certain photographers that I absolutely adore. I think photographers are artists. And I think that everyone on the panel would agree with me that we can spot a photographer, like we can tell who you shot with if you shoot with the right photographer. We go, oh, you've got a such and such. Ooh, you've got a such and such. And so we work on photos, your wardrobe, and then we work on demos. Now we were talking about how you have to send the right demo to the casting. So you know now with breakdowns, I know none of you get them yourselves, but you do know now that they break that down into scenes now, right? So you can I want my people to have the drama and the comedy on their, and commercials maybe, on, up online somewhere. But you can break it down. So I can send an equity, maybe they have something from equity, I could send that over to, something that's casting at the taper, or I can send the drama to the drama role, or I can send the comedy over for the sitcom. And so we do it that way. We work on internet presence, websites, and I look for, I think too, we were talking about it's not as personal up front, like you don't get to meet the casting person up front. We're gonna submit your pictures and your demos and your resumes first, but once you get into the room, we really want our people to be confident and be able to work the room. And we work on having coaches so that you're coached before your auditions and that sort of thing, flexible schedule. So we work on the whole package, I think. But I think we're all here on the panel on the exact same page. Really.
Now, you represent people both theatrically and commercially.
Yeah,
So one of the big things I hear, especially because I do the orientation and for the new members starting out, is I don't have any credits. I can't get an agent to take a chance on me. So what does somebody have to do or be in order for you to take that chance?
Well, we will take people just commercially, or we'll take them across the board. So I don't take people only theatrically. So that's how I do it. So if you are absolutely brand new, then probably I would take that kind of person commercially first, and then get them started that way, get the photos ready, see if they go to their auditions, can I reach them, are they nice to casting, are they going to give me a hassle, are they too much drama, that kind of thing, get to know them. And oftentimes I will take someone that I really like commercially. When my theatrical department's got an opening, whatever, I would take my commercial person across the board rather than a stranger, because I already know them and I have a relationship with them. Or other times I meet somebody and I just want them across the board because I know that they're type or something. I know I can get them work, and I'm always right. It's really interesting because it's always the next day and there's a role for them, And then our people tend to actually book right away. So it's really good. I think it might be, we do a lot of community stuff. We're almost like we're all a big team. We all help each other. Everybody understands that if one person opens the door and gets on that show, everybody else is going to follow through. Like, we recently just got 3 people on this one major primetime show, and it's because one of my guys opened the door, and then everybody else follows through. And so we have this real huge camaraderie and stuff like that. So I think having that gives everyone confidence. So in my roster, we call them bestas, because that's our initials. And so the bestas have a really good confidence, and I think that carries over to doing well in the room. And what I just wanted to add was, we say to them that it's like you're invited to a dinner party and you'd like to be invited back, and that's the kind of atmosphere that we want our people to portray in the casting office, because it's a lifetime, right? Maybe not just that role, but if they get to know you, it's your whole career, and you can make a whole career on having one fan, a casting director who's your fan. You could have a whole career because you'll get in for all those projects.
As Clyde Sachs always says, it's not who you know, it's who you know that likes you. That's kind of how show business works.